Jaynes Physical Therapy. We are actively looking in the New Orleans and Lafayette areas. Don't wait, get in contact with us now. Call Bradley Clark at 713-364-8777 or Casey Jaynes, 504-312-2423. Join us at Jaynes Physical Therapy, and let's help Louisiana get back to living life.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another installment, another edition, if you can believe it, a Work Your Career Wednesday. As always, I'm Bradley Clark, and so thrilled, honored, and blessed that you decided to tune in and join us today. And today we have a familiar face, Mr. Ken Spera. How are you today? No, you. It's you, definitely you.
Brad, I've got one question for you.
Yes, sir.
This is the second time I've been on, right?
Yes.
So have I officially attained the friend of the show status?
You know, for you, Ken, you were always a friend of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you this: there's a fellow broadcaster. He's like that. I like broadcaster. There's a fellow broadcaster who he's had on a couple repeat guests, friends of his show, and he says that, you know, if you're on 5 times, you punch your card 5 times, you get a discount, and 10, you get something for free. Now, whenever that store opens, there you go. So now we have to do 3 more for you to get the 50% discount.
Okay.
I thought that was so awesome. That guy, he's a really great guy. He's an NFL historian. His name's Ken Crippen.
Wow.
And he's like the New York Times go-to for if there's like an NFL related story or some sort of, you know, something about history or something like that, they go to him. Anyway, great guy, trying to book him to come on the show too, but he came up with that, so I can't claim credit for it, but I'm definitely going to get the cards and, you know, can punch it.
Punch him. Okay. Well, you know what I mean? I'll come back as many times as you want.
Oh, yes.
So you get bored of me.
Well, that'll never happen, but let's pay some bills real quick. So first of all, let's talk about White Husky Films. If you have anything, and this is my wife's tweezers for her card making. If you have anything and everything, if you want something documented related to video, and I tell you what, Steven just did a music video for an artist in Louisiana. I saw the stills from it. It's absolutely fantastic. You want to go to White Husky Films. The number is on the screen, or you can always get in touch with White Husky on the interwebs at www.whitehuskyfilms.com. Dream, create, record in that order. And when you choose White Husky, you will be so glad you did. And also, Jaynes Physical Therapy. Jaynes Physical Therapy is the premier home care physical therapy specialist in the New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Louisiana area. Covers the whole state. That's where we're talking about today. He is actually looking, the growth has been so phenomenal. Get this, Ken. Looking for 4 physical therapists, 2 full-time, 2 part-time, and 1 PTA to cover the New Orleans area. I mean, if you can believe it, that's a big deal. The people on his roster are absolutely fantastic. He is a specialist. He is absolutely incredible. The pay is incredible. And one of the things that I really like about this job too is that the freedom is incredible. So again, get in touch with us. Go to his LinkedIn page, go to Jaynes. Physical Therapy, Jaynes Physical Therapy. Get in touch with Casey Jaynes or get in touch with me. I would love to talk with you. In fact, we're helping him recruit on this, a value add, Ken, for our sponsors. If you're looking to grow, I got 23 years doing this, and we will definitely help you get those positions filled. So make sure you go to Jaynes Physical Therapy. And one more honorable mention, I'd like to talk about this podcast called Mini Minds. I had him on the show, Ken. Did you catch Nathan Poole's interview?
I did not. I'm intrigued.
Oh my!
Tell me more.
Let me tell you, he is a crypto miner, and specifically Litecoin. And if you haven't seen the show yet, I urge all of you to go see that show. If you that crypto for me is kind of like well, it was kind of I didn't get it. I really didn't get it. I didn't think it was backed by anything. I thought it was kind of made up and it was a way to, whatever. Absolutely 1000% false. That
It's
he
kind of a
opened my
big deal.
eyes.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal. And his show, Mini Minds, talks about all of that. So you go to YouTube, go to Mini, M-I-N-I, Minds, and or you can just search for Nathan Poole and it'll come up. He also has another podcast called Unbridled Faith. I urge you to take a look at that. And yeah, you'll be incredibly glad you did. Gosh, what we got so many others. We got there's been a lot of changes. We got a lot of folks that are wanting to come on board, and we'll talk about those guys later. But I want to talk about Ken Spera right now. How
Well,
are you, sir?
I want to talk about Bradley Clark for a second. I mean, last time we
Okay.
talked, very different. Now you're big shot, big
Well,
time
I don't know about that.
sponsors, and
Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. But I'm just following your lead. I'm just following your lead. That is just all I'm doing. I'm trying to crack the Ken Spera code, and
you have your
it's
own
kind of hard to
code.
do. It's a little
You've got
hard to
your
do.
own code, and I'm proud of you because
Thanks.
you're kind of spinning positivity, and you're helping people, and that's the content, and that's the value of what you do, and it's paying off, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
I really appreciate that. I really do. It's funny, doing this journey,
Mm-hmm.
you can get discouraged, especially when, you, I remember we had, the hardest people to get to subscribe besides you did it in a minute or in a second. The hardest people to get to subscribe to the podcast were friends and family.
Oh, really?
I swear. It was so funny. It was like, hey, I'm doing a podcast. They're like, oh God, one more. Okay, sure. Whatever. Yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. But when we finally, started to gain some traction and things started moving, things started happening, and I had you in my ear. Just, don't give up. You got something. Keep going. Don't, and when we hit that 100, it was like all of a sudden they put, some gas in the tank.
Yeah.
Those 100 subscribers. And that was such a big deal. Like that was a big day. That was a big day. And so I appreciate that, man. I really do. And we are starting a new show that will be, it's a spinoff of this one. But instead of having guests on, well, I don't know, maybe that'll change, but instead of having guests on, and let me tell you where this came from. Uh, we did a show, I think it was last week. Well, when people see this one, it will be this week when they see it. So we did a show last week and it was just me. It was my first unscripted solo show. Super nervous. And I got to, I heard some things that I can improve on, and I'm trying to improve on them. But a friend of mine turned me on to this Reddit I still don't know what they're called. Subreddits, is what they're called? Anyway.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh. I got to thinking, it's like, if a candidate was ever really ticked off at me, like, I wonder if I went in that subgroup.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah.
But what I found was that really it was just sort of it's a misunderstanding, and not, the candidate, so many of them where they didn't communicate the right way. The recruiters, they didn't communicate the right way. And the hiring managers, unbelievable. And we got to talk about ghost posts and this one firm that apparently flew somebody in, got them all excited for a 17-minute interview. Flew them in, Ken. Flew them in. And that's not the worst of it. Let's just say you fly somebody in and all of a sudden it's like, no, I'm good. The people he prepared for, which isn't always a red flag, but the people he prepared for, they weren't at the interview. That's number one. Number two, a they talked to him for 17 minutes and then told him that they often do this, and I quote, to gauge if there's chemistry.
Oh,
You
that's
couldn't,
quite the process they have there.
I mean, it's
It's a
like,
little wasteful.
wow,
Yeah.
you must have those frequent flyer miles
Mhm.
donated. I mean, unbelievable. So anyway, so WYCW Extra is going to be premiering, I think, in the next couple weeks, and it's going to be just on the podcast part of it, you know, like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and stuff. But the flagship, this show, will always remain the same. And
So in your many years of placing people and recruiting, and have you ever blundered so much that you felt inclined to apologize, or uh, do you have any
yes,
fun stories about? Maybe I shouldn't ask.
one, I don't even know if I should talk about this one, but one really comes to mind.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I I messed up so bad. I shouldn't even talk about this. I'm gonna talk about it. Oh
Well,
my god. Well, it's been it.
now I'm on the other side of the mic. Now I'm interviewing.
I love that. I love that. There was a candidate. There was a candidate far, far away. Um, I really, really like this guy, and I was relaying information to him regarding a profit sharing plan
Hmm.
as I understood it. In fact, I was relaying to him as it was explained to me.
Yeah.
I had forgotten though that the terms had changed.
Oh boy.
And so, right. And so
Only money.
instead of, it's only money, you know, but instead of, I thought that his price is locked in from the moment he signs
Oh.
the offer, but it's locked in at that rate, um, for whatever period of time until it changes as normal,
Yeah. I
right?
think that's normal. Yeah.
It's normal. I told him that was
Oh,
his price from the
forever.
moment, oh, forever. And I
Making promises
hammered
you
that
can't keep.
too.
Bradley.
Oh my gosh. I mean, and so I go back and I look at the document. I look at the updated the updated uh the updated plan, and I'm telling you, I'm getting red just thinking about it. I was so, I mean, because I thought, you know, for one, you know, this was a big deal because this guy's, you know, he's going to be remote. He's out,
Mm,
not just out of town, he's out of the state.
mm.
But we needed that person. We, you know, and it wasn't just him. Like we needed a lot of people, and I thought we'd lost it. And not only that we thought we'd lost it, that I had like buried my career on this because it was such, I mean, at the time it was just like such a huge blunder, you know. And I had to call him back and I was like, I am so sorry. That's not it. Here's what it actually is. This is what it says. Um, I
How
am
to take
so
it.
sorry. Ow, I had to take it. Oh my
How did he
God.
take it?
Great with grace.
Yeah.
I think he kind of knew I was misunderstanding something, or because like, for example, as was explained to me, that's the way it was up until it changed, right?
Mm.
And you know, I just forgot that it changed. And yeah, man, it was bad. Lord, Lord. Um, huh. I mean, this happens all the time. you know, the phone rings, and that's what makes this show work, because it's so down home and grassroots. But but yeah, no, that was bad. It was bad. Um, that's the only one that I really can like pinpoint and say that was a really big. But then again, I mean, there's been other mistakes I've made, and you have to own them. I think that's the other thing about. I don't think that it's being taught really from a training standpoint on, if you make a mistake, how do you deal with it? It's always full steam ahead, keep going. And I think that, maybe the philosophy behind it is, oh, how do you say, sort of the counterfeit, what I call the counterfeit model.
Please
And
explain.
so I had a professor years ago, and he told this story about how he was, one summer when he was in college, he worked at a bank as a bank teller. And for 2 weeks straight, all they did was handle money. They counted it, they smelled it, they handled it, folded it. They had new money, old money, brand spanking new money, all sorts. I mean, cash, 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 all denominations. One day you'd do ones and then fives, and then it got to the point, it's like you knew what that cash felt like, you knew what it smelled like, you knew what everything about it. He said he would go home and he would smell it on his hand. And so one day he goes up to his boss and he says, "Hey, when are we going to handle, I mean, are we ever going to see counterfeit money?" And he said, "No." And that was it. No. So my professor, being inquisitive, says, "Well, why? Why wouldn't we?" He said, "Because, son, once you know what the real feels like, you'll never be fooled by the counterfeit." Right? So in that training, what I mean by that is, you're handling real situations in real time a lot. And so, it doesn't leave much room for mistakes. And if you do make a mistake, it's like, you don't get crucified for it, but you feel this big, and they'll make you feel even smaller.
Mm.
Right? I would rather train on real life situations, real life encounters, real problems that you could make a mistake, where you could make a mistake. Like, for example, like, giving here's what it says today. Now explain it to a candidate in 3 days. But in the meantime, I'm going to have changed the document and sent you a text. Hey, things changed.
Yeah.
And then see what they do. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These kinds of things, so that you'll never be fooled by your own, or not never, but you know what I mean? You'll never be in a situation that you can't handle. And if you are in a situation you can't handle, then obviously ask for help, and then and learn from it. I just don't
Right.
think, it's just you're thrown to the wolves in a different way now. You know, there was one, what was it? It was the subreddit, and it said, it it was about cover letters, or cover letters necessary, right? I had my 2 cents about that, you know, but somebody else said, yeah, when I was in the game or something like that, um, I never read them, and usually I would never get them anyway, because
Mm.
some idiot in HR would exclude them before they got to me. And I'm like, because some VP handed someone's behind to them because they got a resume with no cover letter, and then those people went and beat up HR or the TA team. And so when it came to be your turn, you didn't you know what I'm saying? You didn't get the cover letter.
Yeah.
So, people are beat up so bad. I think there'd be a lot less of that if people really go into it feeling like they're going to be trained to be a subject matter expert. They're not on engineering jobs. They're supposed to be a hiring expert.
Right.
They're not an engineering expert.
Exactly.
So you know what I mean? So that VP of engineering or whoever, or pick a title, they're not doing their job. So it shouldn't be assumed that that job can be done by them. You know what I'm saying? There's no training for that. So anyway, long-winded answer when I'm supposed to be interviewing you.
Oh, I'm ready.
Are you ready now? It's like, why did I ask him that question, dude? And I got to tell you, you're one of my closest friends, and you have such a wealth, not only of experience, but really the way you govern. Is that the right word? Well, the way you govern yourself, but the way you lead your teams. And I mean lead in every way imaginable. You've seen everything. You've seen it all. And what we were talking about the other day was, sometimes creatives and marketers are sort of, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I misinterpreted this, but they're kind of sometimes spinning their wheels in a way that is really counterproductive because they're trying to stay relevant.
Yeah.
So how do they do that?
Well, with marketing, it's such a demand on what's the latest, what's the latest. And it's funny because every time something new comes out and you don't know what it is, it strikes fear in your heart. And you think, what? Maybe I should be doing that for my client, but I don't know what it is. I don't understand it. And so there's this constant fear of not being, up to date or informed. And as you get older and you've been in the business longer, there's even more things that become aware of, and it's impossible to juggle them all and understand them all. So you have to kind of swallow your ego and say, okay, I'm going to find out someone who understands this, and then make an intelligent decision whether my client needs it, right? And I think that trickles down to younger team members because they want to succeed, they want to perform, and they want to be experts. And when they're constantly bombarded with all the things they don't know, it's got to make them feel, oh crap, I try to keep up and it's impossible. And with the way things move now, they're so fast. And it is okay to take a deep breath though and say, all right, I'm gonna wait and see if this is gonna work and be something that's really of value. And I wish younger marketers would be comfortable with that patience. But because they're trying to learn and trying to be the best and trying to excel, they feel like they don't have time to learn the new things. And the reality is you need to slow down and just and see if there's real value in every new thing that pops up, in marketing. And yeah, so I think I've learned that patience, and I think it's harder for a younger person to learn that patience because they're trying to achieve something, right? They're trying to earn their place, they're trying to prove something, and when you're in that mode, you're grabbing at everything and thinking you have to understand everything, and that's just not true.
You know what's interesting? So when you were describing, everybody, keeping ahead and everything, do you remember that movie National Treasure?
Yeah.
Do you remember Nicolas Cage's sidekick?
I don't remember that movie well. And
well, okay, so there was a side. He was like a computer expert, right?
Yeah.
So he was helping Nicolas Cage navigate and finding these treasures, right? There was one point in the movie where they're trying to find, maybe it was the second one, but I can't remember. Anyway, they're trying to figure out this clue, right? Nicolas Cage is a stone genius. I mean, historian, knows everything and lets you know
Mm-hmm.
that he knows everything. Like he's one of those, right? And then the sidekick at one point goes, they're trying to figure this out. He goes, wait a minute. I know something you don't know.
Hmm.
I I'm gonna bask in this moment. I'm wondering like for young marketers and young creatives, since they're trying to learn the things that they don't know,
Mm-hmm.
finally when someone with more experience than them, you know, nudges them and says, hey, what is this? I need some help here. I wonder if they have sort of like, oh, I know something you don't know.
Maybe
how can
they all
how
know
can
way
how
more
can
than I
I
know. Anyways,
how can I how can I how can I let me just bask in this glow for a moment. Let me just, I love that. I love well, and then okay, so that's a great question too. Like in terms of, for folks that maybe don't know the latest toy or the latest tool or the latest
mhm,
craze or this and that, and I'm finding that out,
sure.
because I'm trying to put together stuff on my own. And there you go. I don't have this expertise. I don't have this experience. There's all sorts of different editing tools, I don't know. I don't know this stuff. But, how important is it to have that symbiotic relationship that, you know, everybody feels like they're accomplishing something. The ones that need to learn are learning, and the
Mhm.
ones that didn't think they needed to learn are learning too. And everybody kind of like gets along with that.
Yeah, I think it's really important to set up that culture of learning is okay, not knowing everything is okay as long as you want to learn. And I do my best to point out the things that people do well and say, you're really good at typography, or you're really good at learning new technology, or you're an excellent editor. And because I think people need that reinforcement, not to just kind of constantly pet them and make them soothe them, but it is important to know that you were really good at something, and build from there. And that's what I'm hoping I'm doing, and not just inflating egos, but I'm hoping that I'm like, here's your base. You are one of the best typographers I've ever worked with. Go, grow from there. And that's kind of
Yeah.
my method.
How do you deal with how do you deal with a really big ego in your position
Mm,
in the marketing game? How do you deal with it? Doesn't necessarily have to be on your team, could be with a client, could be with
sure.
a partner, whatever. How do you deal with that?
Well, luckily, right now, there's no one on my team that, except for myself, that has to deal with that, suffer that ego. But
Like right after you do these shows. You're like,
it's your fault, Bradley.
it's
You're
my
building up
fault.
my ego.
I am so sorry to all of your team at Red Rock. I am
Oh, I
so
know.
sorry.
I'm hard to
You
live with
guys,
after this. I was on I
one of
was
the fastest growing shows in
long
America.
ago.
Yes,
I'm kind of
yes.
popular. That's a
Kind
really
of a big deal.
my because I don't respect that kind of buffoonery. I
Yeah.
usually my initial reaction is I need to knock them down a peg, but that's not healthy. That's not healthy. Um, I do think I've found in this industry people who are just full of bluster and just ego and can't deliver don't last. So
Yeah.
again, be patient, let them burn out, let them show what they really are. And if they have an ego and can deliver, then you're stuck with them. But if they are all ego and no skill, that will rise, that will come to a head pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and they'll go away. And I've found that, believe it or not, after 30 plus years, the people who talk and can't deliver usually end up going away. At least
They
in this.
probably they probably talk the most.
Yeah, talk the most. Um, but as a creative director, I really quickly learned that those people are not dependable, or I can't, get the work I need out of them. I can get a good conversation, but I can't get the work. So, um, but if you don't perform, and I'm sure it's like this in a lot of industries, if you
Oh
can't
yeah.
do your job well, you're just not going to last.
I mean, it's gonna out. Period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it every time,
Yeah.
every single time. I was uh I was in a workshop not too long ago, and there was this guy on there, and uh I mean, good following. You know what I mean? He seems to be growing, and he was telling a story of this guy that was doing a lot of this. Like, I mean, I've had Brad Pitt on, and
Mm.
whoever the I don't know, just name dropping after one name after another. And then there was, I mean, all the da 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 da. And it was just funny because of how it all sort of like worked out, like anyway with him. But I don't know. I'm just relating that. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the industry is, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
It's the point of that story was is that I was texting my friend who was running it, and I said, man, because he wanted my friend to be on his show, right? And so
Yeah.
he's given this story about XYZ, and then and so I said, I so want to say that you were my first guest, and I've had no problem getting celebrity guests on my show. But I told him, I said, but one of the things that you taught me is to let my content and my character speak for me,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing else. And that, and I've had to learn that. I was a notorious name dropper, you know, but that's, you let the work speak, let other people do your praise for you,
Right.
And I think
Well, is
that's
it
one of the
true?
things.
I'm going to say, is it true that I'm only here because Brad Pitt declined?
Oh, on this show?
Yeah.
No, no, we booked him next week. Don't worry about it. No, no, no. You're good to go. Yeah, right. That would be so weird. I just can't even imagine that. That'd be so strange. Anyway, but okay. So on the other side of that coin, how do you deal with someone who's really good and they're really good? They don't know they're very good. How do you get them? How do you pull that out of them?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I find that happening more and more. There's a lot of
Mm,
self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and I, it is heartbreaking because when you see someone who has these abilities and the only thing holding them back is themselves, you know, uh, it's hard because I've never really suffered that, and so I can't from you know, like, well, the way I dealt with it was this because I guess I've always been that confident. But no, I've had to deal with it and deal with team members who didn't know their worth, and I think just have to be honest with them and give them opportunities. And I think what happens is, yes, they may have some doubt and they may have this imposter syndrome, but when you give them a project or give them a task or a problem to solve, they always come through despite the doubt. And then you can say, look, see what you did? Don't doubt yourself. Look what you just did, So you have to give them tangible proof that they're not deficient or they're not bad at something. And that's the best way, right? Because proof is work. Work is proof. And so when they do have that doubt or self-doubt, you can say, okay, I hear you, but here's 4 concrete examples of you performing wonderfully, of doing great work. And it's hard for them to argue with proof like that. So yeah, you kind of have to build their confidence by building their portfolio, basically, and say, okay, I hear you're telling me that you're not confident, but I'm proving to you by showing you the work you gave me that you are competent. You're more than competent. You're brilliant, and that usually works. It might take a little while, but it usually works.
Usually works. Wow. That's really interesting. That's really interesting. There's a few people that I know like that. But then on the adverse side too. I mean, I don't know, man. It's an unenviable place to be in either chair, because I would think like the perfect person is like a mixture of the two. You know what I mean? Like really good, but self-doubting enough to be self-deprecating and laugh about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but you've dealt with so many different people over your career. You've dealt with, a lot of triumphs. Nobody talks about the failures. You know, we talked about this kind of last time, but what were the things that, beyond what you learned and what you never did again, what was it? I don't know. What are further lessons, I guess? You know, like you told that great story about the producer, and then when you left, you're like, I'm so sorry. That really stuck with you. What are here's where I'm getting at. I'll just cut to the chase. You did have self-doubt at one point.
You're right.
There was a little bit of right? There was a little bit of self-doubt there. And I wonder if you went through that at that point because of who and what who you're managing today, and what you're doing today. Because if you're seeing that more and more, which is completely foreign, I would think, I mean, from outside looking in, Mad Men did a number on your industry. I mean, who wouldn't have wanted to be a madman in the 60s? Dude.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that looks so cool.
It looks like fun, yeah.
Didn't it? It looks like so much fun. But that's, I mean, when I was doing commercials and stuff like that, you always had you had the client there, you had the agency there, you were kind of like thrown to these 2 different people, and the last thing you wanted them to do was talk to each other while you were on set. Like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose this job, I suck. I mean, right, that's the last. um Elliot, I'm just not sure that actor's the right one. Do we have time to I mean, this is what's going on in my mind. No time to recast, because they're terrible. But anyway, but you had that kind of self-doubt stuff going on, and I wonder how much of what you went through is even giving you more empathy toward them today.
Yeah. No, you make a good point, because you're right. When I met you, I had been laid off the first and only time in my career, and I'm not trying to brag, but it was later in my career, and it was really shocking. So that's when you met me at a very kind of vulnerable point. So you're right. I did experience it, and it was a good growing experience. Absolutely. And this is one thing I discovered. I've worked at such good agencies with such good people. I always wondered, well, am I going to be able to contribute on this? Am I going to be able to give them a new perspective or a better idea? And having talked to people that I worked with, they're like, Oh yeah. Yeah, you are always giving good ideas. You may not have known this or didn't feel it, but yeah. And so I think we do better than we think.
That
And
sounds so weird to me to hear you say that.
I
It
think
just
creative,
does, man. It just is so weird to me. It's like, I wonder if I can contribute to that.
well,
Yeah.
I think creative people do better than they think,
Mm,
and you're right, Brad, and you've met enough of us that there is a certain level of doubt or not being sure that is healthy, right? Because if you everything I do and breathe is going to be brilliant, that's not a healthy person, right?
right.
So, but you're right. I definitely have sympathy for people who lack confidence, especially if they're gifted.
Yeah.
But I have not had a lot of experience of working with someone who is incapacitated by their own doubt. I have not, and I would think that is a horrible and an unfortunate situation to get into as a person, no matter if you're creative or not, to have an incapacitating doubt,
Mm,
self-doubt. You may have dealt with someone like that, and I'm curious if you have and how you help them. Because when you met me and helped me, it wasn't like I was incapacitated or completely like I'm worthless. I was
yeah.
having some feelings like that,
Right.
and you slapped me around a little bit and was like, "What are you talking about? You're great," and that
Yeah.
made a huge difference. But when that doesn't work, have you encountered someone where your love and your affirmations didn't do a thing? Have you experienced that?
It's going to sound really bad
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a little self-serving, but me,
Really?
yeah. Yeah. There was a period where I felt like uh completely void of doing anything creative, of doing anything that involved what I do,
Mm-hmm.
like, am I really that good? Like, maybe I've been fooling myself the entire time,
Hmm.
maybe, maybe I'm really terrible and nobody will say anything. You know
Ooh.
what I mean? And it also, and stuff like that, that sort of shaped my feelings around love too, because to me, and I was having this conversation the other day. Love, either from a spiritual point of view or from friends and loved ones and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Love is not co-signing on everything you do.
Hmm.
It's celebrating. It's a it's accepting you for who you are, but
Right.
you could accept me for who I am, and I just happen to really love jumping off bridges, right?
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're not going to allow that to happen because you love me. You're gonna correct me on that.
Right.
It's like anything else. It's if you love someone, you want to steer them. They're either going to take your advice or they're not, or they're going to accept your love or they're not, or they're whatever it is. But there's been points in my life when I've had a lot of people that just agreed with me because the gravy
Hmm.
train was really full, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I mean, doing things that could kill me.
Oh,
And, you know, uh, it just, here, have another shot, have another glass, have another, you know what I mean? So it shaped those situations shaped how I felt about a lot of things, where it's like, you know, like with you, I mean, if I really felt like, pick a new avenue, I'd have told you. I'd have told you, and I would have guided you to where that avenue is or where you want to go, and we would have made it work. But the fact is that that was complete BS, and you just need to remember who you were,
yeah.
rather who you are. You know what I mean? And so, but for me, it was very it was intense for a while, and it really crippled me. It really it crippled my desire. It crippled my will. You know, there's I have a very finite set of skills. You know, and the thought. But here's the other thing that it taught me. It's like, what are you going to do if that was all taken away? You know, what would you do?
Right.
And so, but then it taught me that I can do other things, and that I'm good at whatever I set my mind to. So
Yeah.
yeah, it took it also took a weeding out of people in my life that weren't helpful, you
Plenty
know,
of those. Yeah.
not in a selfish way, but I needed to be out of their life too,
Hmm. Well,
you know. So yeah, me. I was that person. I
you
was
know,
a and a lot of help from God too, you know.
there have been a few people, and they were all young people that were in the industry, you know, in advertising or marketing, um, creative people that I didn't hire them, but were hired before, you know, I got involved with the
Yeah.
department, whatever. And they clearly did not have the skills to survive in this industry. Not to say they were bad people, but
Mm.
and it's painful. It's painful when, you know, a copywriter gives you a script and you feel like someone in high school wrote it, or you
See, was that love? Was that love to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they went to school for something similar or
I
close
don't know
to
how
that.
they had the yeah. And I think somebody or something failed them because
Yeah.
yeah. And hey, look, if you want to be a writer and you're not a good writer, I guess who am I to say don't pursue this? But if you're not, again, if you're doing it professionally uh, in an advertising agency, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, if you're not a good writer, you're not going to last.
I mean, think about this too. You know, we live in such a meme culture and generation, right? So I have it in my head, man. You know, I don't know, Ken, you know, I'm going to be a middle linebacker for
Texan.
the Texans. Certainly not the Cowboys, but definitely the Texans. I'm just kidding. Sorry, Dallas. We love you. Sorry about that. Well, whatever. Anyway, um, you know, oh, it's perfect. Oh, God, Mom, you will love this story. Ken, oh my gosh, when I first started dating Erica,
Yeah.
I just felt like playing a joke. And so it was a first time, get this first time meeting her mom. And it was at a baseball game for her little brother, Frankie. Frankie, I don't know, maybe he was 10. I don't know, it was little league. You know what I mean? So we were talking and she says, well, Brad, you know, she's trying to figure out who this guy is dating her daughter. She goes, so, you know, what are you gonna do? Like, what do you do? And I said, uh, Miss Glaviano, I have just had a burning desire for years to be a professional wrestler. You know, I'm good. I'm good at it. I can fling off the rope, you know, and I'm just working on my break, you know, just really just have that dream. She was so cool. She talked to Eric, I don't know, a couple of days later, and she goes, did you know he wants to be a pro wrestler?
It
You know what
should.
I mean? She was not for it. She was not for it. But at the same time, thought, you know, if that's what I wanted to do, then, you know, Erica should support me in it. I mean, you know, she didn't know me.
I
You know
can,
what I'm saying? And I just thought it was the most funny thing. I thought it was like, so hilarious. But, you know, there's a time to have that support, and then there's a time to kind of dial that support back. You know,
mhm.
maybe you can still be in the industry. Maybe you're just not a good writer. Like for like how many times, how many examples have you seen over the course of your career where somebody goes into the ad business and ends up being I don't know, in sales
Yeah,
or a producer, you know what I'm saying?
it's a
Or
lot.
a
Yeah,
lot, right? So it's not like you have to leave the industry unless that's what you're going to do.
right.
It's just if you don't, if you at that point when it's an employee, it's like you're really screwing up our bottom line here and our deadlines. Uh, you know, you're going
I
to foster
found
them out.
I found being a creative professional, if you're not good at it, this industry ruthlessly weeds you out quickly.
Oh my gosh, it's like comedy. It's
Yeah,
like comedy.
yeah,
I mean, it just,
exactly.
ooh man. Hold on, we got it. Let's take a break. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to take a break differently this time. All
Oh,
right,
do I have to do the
because
commercial?
well, we're going to both do the commercial.
Okay,
I in a way because you're going to be here. We're going to talk about Jaynes Physical Therapy real quick one more time. If
they're out
you
of
are
New
in,
Orleans, aren't they?
they're in New Orleans. Yes, they are.
I wish they were
Also
here.
in Lafayette. I wish I was there or they were here. I am telling you, Ken, I need it so bad, and they are so good. In fact, Casey has given me some tips,
Hmm.
and I've been doing them, and they've really helped. But oh my gosh, it would be a godsend. We need more sponsors so I can fly Casey out here and he can so I can bring this show to you. But we're at the moment Casey is looking for two um uh well five. So we got four physical therapists, graduate degree, state license, and one PTA in the New Orleans area. So two in Lafayette part time and two in New Orleans. Get in contact with Casey Jaynes. Go over to Jaynes Physical Therapy on LinkedIn. We're gonna have the website up soon, so you can apply there. But for now, go to LinkedIn, Jaynes Physical Therapy, and get in contact with me too. I would love to talk with you. I'm probably going to talk to you at some point anyway. So just send me your resume. I really want to talk to you. Reach out. These are immediate fills and cannot wait. Literally growing that much. So looking forward to talking with. Now back to the show. I've never done that before. How was that? Was that good?
That was great, and I think I'm moving to New Orleans. I think to experience Jane's physical therapy.
Dude, I really do.
All kidding aside, I have had to do PT before, and when someone does it right, the benefits are really you get them quickly, right? Just
Yeah.
I was amazed, 5 visits, and all of a sudden my physiology was improving, and yeah, so I'm a big
Now imagine if they came to your house
wow,
and did it.
that's convenient.
It's
They do that?
look, that's their home care specialist. So they'll actually come to your house
Oh
and
wow.
get it done there. So with so when I had that injury in 2020, that was it was a from the last
Wrestling,
car accident.
professional
Well, the
wrestling.
last well right professional wrestling. It was from well yeah it was from that and jumping around on stage singing Christian gospel music. Um, it was really bad. Like I could not. I'll put it this way: it was a feat to make it to the mailbox.
Mm.
It really was, and I'll never forget it. On my third visit, and I called them actually. I called them and I said, "You're not going to believe this." Well, it wasn't the mailbox. I said I went from my car to my front door, didn't have to stop once.
Wow.
Thank you. So they're just really great, and I'm a big proponent of it, and I wish he was there, or I mean it would be better if he were here because then I wouldn't have to move. That
Yeah.
would be great.
Mm. We can
But
work.
well, call Casey, maybe you could convince him to come out here. But appreciate you guys for sticking around and listen to us listening to us just talk about the business, man. I tell you, if there was, I don't know, if there was one person that has sort of seen the whole, you know, seen the whole business from a granular level to the 35,000 foot view, it'd be you. Now,
Hmm.
I've had a lot of people come to me recently. It's really interesting, particularly in these times. We're experiencing a lot of, um, getting off of the meme culture. People are really struggling. Like they're not hungry anymore, they're starving. And sometimes they're doing jobs that they're really good at, but want to do something else.
Yeah.
Have you seen it work out to where someone that's in the business or like in the TV business or in the ad business or entertainment business on the other side of the camera, right? Behind it
Right.
in one way, shape, or form. If you're at the board, you're at the camera, you know, but they want to transition into something, involving social media, or they want to transition into something involving, I mean, I don't know, they want to try their hand at copywriting. I don't know, whatever it is. How successful are those people that do that?
One of the
And is
best,
it even done?
well, it's both ways, right? Like one of the best writers I ever worked with was he ran a vineyard in California, and he was he managed a vineyard, and he started writing copy to do some advertising for the vineyard, and really liked it, and then really went for it and pursued being a copywriter. And I got to work with him when he was a little more experienced. So, but he was one of the best writers I ever worked with. So I've seen that, and then I've seen people who just didn't like the pressure, the creative pressure or the expectations to always deliver and be clever and strategic, and said, I'm out. I'm good, but I don't need this. It's a the pressure, and it's not for everyone. Um, and I understand that feeling. Like I just don't want to do this anymore. and, and Brad, I don't think I could do anything else, or maybe I could, but I don't want to do anything else but be a
Right.
creative professional. But it comes with a kind of a grinding demand, that if you can't deal with that, it's not fun. And so um, there was a book I read in college, The Courage to Create, and I thought it was complete BS. Like, I don't need any courage to create, but you're a creative person, and you
Yeah.
understand that there is a certain amount of courage to face, people not liking something you've done, or something failing, or just not performing. You have to face that and be willing to still create. And so
Mm.
there is something to that courage to create. I think there is something very real about that.
I love what you said just there. I'm pulling up your site right now. Um, what people don't understand, and it goes back to this adage too, you don't know how much violence it took to be this gentle.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm. It's great.
and that's a I mean, you look at the entertainment business.
Sure.
It's a lot of courage to at some point when you say, you know, I've made it, or I don't know if anybody ever really says they've made it. Maybe when they're walking into their, 20,000 square foot home, they can say they've made it. But, you know, there's there's a really, really famous actor, comedian, friend of mine that
Name dropper.
I didn't drop his name. I didn't drop his name, but he says something really important that I'll never forget. He's been in all these movies. The guy's been in like, I don't know, like 50 movies or something like that. And we were talking backstage before he was going to perform a show. And he goes, Brad, he said, I just want to do something I'm proud of.
Mm.
And I started listing off all these things that he's done. He goes, yeah, that one was kind of cool. That one was good. He said, but yeah, I just want to do something I'm proud of. I'm like, as a creative, like, are you ever satisfied?
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think so. The good ones, I mean, I I tell people that I always think my best work is the next job I'm going to do. And it's
Cat
kind of
Williams,
weird though, but it's true.
Cat Williams was asked recently, or maybe it wasn't recently, when it was with Larry King. He goes, what's your favorite city to perform in? He goes, the next one.
Mm, wow.
You know, just to talk about Cat Williams. Well, he's really hot right now. So,
Yeah.
but like, I'm looking at your page, man, kspera.com. I mean, if you want to just look at Ken made this stuff with the help of a lot of talented people. Scroll down to the very bottom and you see in that sentence right there, I think what it takes for not just a creative, but for anybody to have any level of success, you gotta acknowledge that, man, there's a lot of this stuff we did together.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and you exemplify that. There's one thing, and we're gonna get off topic here,
Please.
but if you're going, I have to talk about it, dude. I just have to. If you go to your Instagram page, which I will not divulge what it is, that
I
would
don't
be for
care.
someone to go to your website, Spera, and you know, to go. But if you go to your Instagram, my God, dude. I mean, I'm looking at this stuff and it's like, I don't know, I can't draw a stick man. And you're sitting over here like, this is, dude, that monkey is like my spirit animal. Remember when I asked for your opinion? Yeah, me neither. Awesome. Is it important for you, you know, as a creative but also a leader of people, to have an outlet that's just for you?
110%. And I encourage that, especially if you work in advertising as a creative, because your work is never your own.
Mm.
And that's just the collaborative nature of the business. So you need something that is your own. You can make any mistake you want, and that's okay. It's yours. It is the thing that has kept me sane. And you're looking at my website and you're looking at my illustrations. This is what you're referring to. No one else
Yeah,
knows
they're
what you're looking
fantastic.
at. And you know what? The nice thing is about those drawings and paintings is I don't care if people like them or not. I like them, and that's what they're made for. And
I love that. I love
and
that.
I've been able to sell some, and some people do like them, so that's cool. But that's not the point of them.
I can't wait till mine comes my way and graces my wall.
Gotta
I already
pick.
know. I already know what frame I'm getting for it.
Did you pick one yet?
Oh, I did. I picked. Well, okay. There's several I want, but I could only
Last time
pick.
we talked, you had a list.
It's a list, but I really want the monkey, and then the other one is Central Park.
Yes, two of my
But
favorites.
but you can't have one without the other. You have to have both,
You
because
should have them both.
you have to have them both. So it may just happen that I have to get. Oh, dude, this one. Okay, so I'm looking at Ken's Instagram page. His illustrations, they're fantastic. There's one of Santa kicking down a door. It says "No chimney, no problem." For a lot of WYCW's guests, a lot of all of you, I would say, well, a lot of them, because now you're a part of the show. Like, you are a part of the show.
Friend of the show. Friend of the show
So a
status.
lot of them have done that. They have seen a problem that they can't hurdle, they can't get over, and they kick the door down. If you're not going to open it, I'm going to kick it down. Period. Right?
Okay.
I mean, that's marvelous. I love that. I love that. And when you're talking about like, this is the stuff that's kept you sane, I get it. And I want to put one thing to bed real quick
Mhm.
so everybody knows. Do you own a piece of Gary?
Well, most people don't know his name is Gary.
Well, they
And
do
no,
if they watch
I,
the show.
I owe nothing. I own nothing when it comes to that little lizard. So,
Well, and that goes to your point is that you don't own anything.
mhm.
So you're doing all of this work for other people, and you're getting paid well for it. You're getting
Yeah.
recognized for it. Obviously, you're in the Hall of Fame, but it's still not yours.
One thing I have,
So
Brad, is the original sketch that is in my sketchbook. That is mine. So there are scans of it, but that is mine. So
you ever thought about auctioning that? Oh my gosh,
I,
dude.
I don't know.
Don't ever do it.
I'm
You should you that should be like an heirloom. That should be like, I don't know, it's so awesome. Let me ask you this. Any of your kids want to go into the ad business? And would you let them?
Well, that is a great question because I'm not kidding you. About a month ago, my youngest son said, Dad, I want to be a designer. And I was floored that he wanted to be creative, a creative professional. I want to do what you do. And so, of course, my immediate thought was I failed as a father. but I was because it's a tough business, and I love my boys, and I don't want
Yeah.
them to, you know, but
I
um,
mean, it's
and
so bad, dude. I
and
failed as a
so,
father. They want to go into the ad business.
but here's the thing. I mean, part of me was very excited because I know I can help, and I know I can be
Yeah.
a guide for him, and it's really up to him how it much he puts into it. Uh, so we are pursuing that. He's going to be a senior in high school next year. He's got some design classes in his school. He's going to learn. I'm going to teach him the Adobe suite. I made him design our Christmas card this year. So I've already put him to.
Really?
Yeah, he did a pretty good job. He did a
Oh,
pretty
that's too cool. That's
good.
too cool.
But
That's
here
gotta make you feel proud though.
it
You
does, and
know?
he is a very funny guy, and I think he's actually more he's funnier than I am. I've always prided myself on being funny, but I think he's funnier, and so I could see him doing well. I could really see him doing well. So kind of excited.
I think that's so cool. That is so cool.
My oldest
Oh
son,
my gosh.
my oldest son has no desire to be in this business.
You're like, I did well with him.
I succeeded as a father. My oldest son is a rock climber, so that
A
comes with its
rock
own.
climber?
Yes. So that comes with a certain amount of trepidation. Oh, I climbed this great peak and blah, blah, so it
I
happens.
mean,
You move to
must be
Austin, you
so
become this,
strong.
you move to Austin, you all of a sudden you become this outdoor hippie, and it's great.
Right. 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 That, I know a great guy up by your neighborhood that has some great ayahuasca.
I don't know what that is.
I mean, I don't either, but he seems to think a lot of it.
Okay.
He's
No,
like he said he saw God, and I was like, really?
ayahuasca. But
I think
yeah,
that's what
so
it's called.
we'll see about
It's
my son, my youngest. I do want to, really work with him the next few years, and he'll either make up his mind, go nope, or this is cool, I want to do this. And if that's his reaction, then I think he's gonna do well. So,
I think, yeah, man, that is too cool. That is so cool, and have that sort of sense of humor. How
mhm.
important is that too? getting into the business, getting into the ad business.
Don't you think that
It seems like you
most of
have to
the
have one.
ads, don't you think that most of the ads you see are humorous? Don't you think they're trying to be?
I think they're trying to be.
Mhm.
I think that in like the modern sort of day right now, uh, I I think that comedy has there's some shackles put on it a little bit, but I
Mhm.
see them loosening. You know, there's certain things that are just funny because they're funny. You
Right.
know, not necessarily there to hurt anybody. It's just they're funny. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the next thing you know is somebody will be offended by passing gas. That's
What?
that's the
The fart
funniest.
jokes? I'm
Yeah,
done. I'm done. I'm
dude, I'm
retiring.
done. I'm done. I mean, if that's the case, then I'm screwed. I mean, you know, I'm not funny, but you know, I think it's loosening, and I think that I think because people are just that's what we were talking about like last time. It's like you know, people are desperate for something true and something real, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
and when that truth and that real sort of at least a sentiment is there, you know, in advertising, I think it works. That new oh my gosh, did you see the commercial with for Chevy for the over the holidays, the long one?
I may have.
Oh
Describe it to
my
me.
gosh. Okay,
It was
so picture
sentimental.
so sentimental, man. I mean, I felt I got all the feels. It
Oh
was
boy.
great. Like every single one of them was great in a truck ad. And it had trucks in it, so I thought it was pretty cool anyway. But
Okay.
anyway, so picture this older couple having Christmas dinner as you would, right? Family
Mhm.
comes over, the grandma has looks like she's going into Alzheimer's. And so
Oh
the
yeah.
daughter, right, the granddaughter gets this idea because she's sort of like checked out. She's not there. Grandpa
Mhm.
said this is one of her bad days, you know.
Mhm.
So she gets this idea, wow, they have this old Chevy in the garage. So her idea is to bring grandma out to the Chevy and take her for a drive. And so that's what she does. And in the meantime, the entire neighborhood has Chevy trucks. The entire neighborhood only exclusively drives Chevy, as you would. And there's a brand new Chevy. I think it was an SUV or a truck in the driveway. Oh, there's a brand new truck in the driveway, and then the family came in the SUV. So
Mhm.
this was like a 19, I think it was like a 68, looked like a 68 or 69. You know, the C10s at that point, they kind of all look the same,
Yeah.
like into the 70, like 71, 72 ish. If I'm remembering it right, it was like a mint green and white Suburban. And the granddaughter took grandma over town, and she remembered her high school, and she remembered.
Leaving your husband, and yeah, it was beautiful.
Yes. Oh, you saw it. It was,
Oh, yeah,
it was beautiful,
it was
man.
beautiful.
I literally cried. I really did. It
Yeah,
was so good.
wasn't funny at all, which was, and it's hard to pull off this sentimental without being too schmaltzy, but I think, yeah, really high praise for that spot because the nostalgia around the Chevy truck is there.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it was that thing that was tying her to, her past and
Yeah.
reality. It was beautifully done. It's wonderful to see that kind of work
And
do
it was
well.
like not a hint of schmaltz in it. It was
Mm-mm.
just
It was just really a great
awesome.
story. It was a great story. Yeah.
Yeah. How how come well, I guess I know the answer to this, but really, well, I don't know the answer. I don't know what you're going to say. But those those kind of spots where, you know, it makes you think, you know, because there's so many emotions tied up there. I mean, seriously, I remembered going to my grandparents' house when I was a kid. I remembered my grandparents. I remembered because they're not here anymore. I remembered so many Christmases where sometimes it was cold, sometimes it was rainy. I mean, it was, you know, the Berkeley, like Albany, Berkeley area, you know, San Francisco area.
Mhm.
Sometimes, I remember being a kid and looking up, and I was convinced I saw Santa's sleigh because my grandma said it's right there. Don't you see it? I mean, it was all sorts of things. And then the anger that they're not there anymore. And then to think that this older lady that lives so much life will forget it all.
Mm.
And then where does that put our place in the world? And then don't we want to do it in a Chevy truck? I personally, I mean, personally,
Yep.
I was disappointed it wasn't a Ford,
Okay.
but I would get a Chevy at that point. Absolutely. I love it. I loved it. But so how come, like, maybe like, are those spots like, once in a few years kind of spots where they'll work? Because if you do it too much, nobody cares. Or, I don't know.
They're just hard to do. I don't. I think people would do them every time if they could, but they can't. And so um, I'm sure there was a spot that was very similar where this couple is dancing and she's the wife has got some Alzheimer's or something, and when they're dancing she does remember the her life with her husband, and it was pretty
So
good, but it
good.
wasn't as good as that Chevy spot. It wasn't as deftly handled or emotionally as emotional. So people try. It just like anything else. Not every song's a hit. Not every illustration's a masterpiece. Not every
Yeah.
yeah.
What's your favorite commercial?
I am obsessed with the those spots for Progressive home insurance where the people are becoming their parents. The young people are becoming their
Oh,
parents.
yes.
I think they're so well
Hilarious.
written and so funny. They just did one where this guy, he has his fanny pack on. He goes into
Hmm.
one of these kind of high-end salad places and he looks up and there's multiple, lettuces to pick from and quinoa. And he's just like overwhelmed. He's like, oh my, I think it's so funny that they just have pulled these wonderful
Adulting.
moments where these people are just kind of frozen by their own inability to to deal with modern society. This is wonderful. So
I hope I never like totally and completely adult. You know what I mean? Like I really hope that. So growing up, what was one of your, you know, like a commercial that you remember? Like I remember so now you talk about schmaltz.
mhm.
Remember, I think it was Maxwell House, or could have been the best part of waking up. It's Folgers. It was
Folders
Folgers.
in your cup.
Right. Remember the Christmas spot where the guy comes home and they don't know he's coming, and
Mhm.
remember that one? There was so many other, but it was so schmaltzy. But anyway, what was what was one of yours from your childhood?
Well, I loved those spots. And I was talking to them with my team, talking about them with my team not too long ago, where these two people are walking towards each other, they're not paying attention. One is eating a chocolate bar. One, for some reason, is eating peanut butter out of the jar, right? And they bump into each other and they land on the ground. And the guy goes, hey, you got peanut butter on my chocolate bar. And the other guy goes, hey, you got chocolate in my peanut butter. And of course, they eat it and they go, hmm. That was the beginning of the Reese's Pieces cup, Reese's peanut butter cup. I always loved those. And I was like, man, I wish that would happen to me.
I know, dude. Those were so I remember that one. I
So,
remember that one. I loved those commercials. You know which ones that really kind of get me from when I was a kid are the Nestle commercials. Remember the one where uh it's a take on that painting of Venus
right. On the shell.
on the shell. Yeah.
Mhm. Venus de
Remember
Milo.
that one?
Yeah.
Venus Smile. Yeah. And what is it? It's some like incredible song, like from, I don't know.
I
It's
don't
like
know the song.
80s Enya.
Okay.
It's like 80s Enya. It
Hmm.
was so like, oh, I gotta look it up, dude.
Well, let me describe a commercial and let me see if you remember this one.
Okay. Okay. I'm
This
ready.
was not like when I was a kid, but it was a while back, and I always thought that the strategy and the execution on this commercial was brilliant. It was a Christmas commercial, and it was a family, you know, mom, dad, teenage boy, younger sister. They go to visit grandparents, and the families kind of they're decorating the tree. They're doing all these things, these activities, and the teenage boy is on his phone. He's on his iPhone or his smartphone, always doing something on his phone. And they're kind of trying to encourage him to get involved, be part of the family. And they're getting a little perturbed with this kid. He's like, he just won't put his phone down. And so at some point, it's Christmas morning in the spot, and they're all unwrapping gifts, and they look at him like, enough is enough. Give me that device. And the kid gives it to him. And there's a video he's been working on. And then they play this video of their entire weekend at grandma's. And he's been shooting this experience and editing right on his phone. And he makes this beautiful piece of this beautiful memory. And that's what he's been up to. And the whole thing just switches like, oh, this technology isn't separating him from his family, it's connecting him. And whether you believe that or not, it was a really, really great turn. It was
When
it
was
was for
that? That
Apple.
was, well, it had to be for Apple.
Yeah, it was for the iPhone. And it was the smartest thing. You're like, man, I want my son to do that, right? I want my kid
Yeah.
to do that. I'm gonna buy them a phone.
They've been that agency's been with Apple for 40 years. It's the same
Uh,
agency, right?
well, they fired them and then they went back, and so I'm not sure right now who they're with, but I did think that spot was
That spot's brilliant.
it was brilliant, and the turn at the end was so unexpected. So it was great stuff.
Well, okay, to relate that to just life, there's a guy that I follow on Instagram. And over Christmas, he's like, I was really mad at my daughter. She does so many things. She crochets, she does this, she does that. She's on the swim team, she's blah, blah, blah. And he would get on her because she was crocheting when she should have been doing her homework. Turns out it was a blanket for him for
Uh,
Christmas, you know?
nice.
So it's like, I love that. How often are you looking at something and you're just basically holding a mirror up to us?
Mm.
By
Makes
the way, I'm going to send you that. Do you have your phone by you? Because
yeah.
I'm going to send you that commercial. I found it.
Okay.
You're going to love it. Anyway,
Well, the mirror is an excellent metaphor, but it's a dangerous one because I should not be looking at myself when I'm trying to think of work for my clients. I should be thinking of, who their audience is and who their clientele is. So I should be looking through a lens as opposed to a mirror to get answers and make good decisions in marketing. So
well, I'm
it's
what I mean is like a mirror to like society is what I mean. Like like I don't know, like if are you ever looking at it, do you ever get an account and look at it and go, you know what? I would totally buy that. Like that is for me.
I always I always
And then does that mess up the process if you're like trying to sell to yourself, you know?
no, I'm
Like
I'm I'm very susceptible to my own work. I like we have a barbecue place in town, and I'm just like
yeah.
I go there way too much, and I always like end up believing my own marketing and buying
I'm
that.
sorry. You got to go in there and go, you know what? That's pretty good. And I'm just trying to spread the message. God bless Texas.
Yeah, I mean, most of my clients, do have a very have a good valuable product, and but it's not that often that I have to do marketing for something I don't believe in, so.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I just always wondered that. It's like, if you're writing this, it's like, you know, 'cause I just those commercials, they just bring up all the feels, man. They just,
Yep.
or like, with the lizard. I mean, it was hilarious. That's I just, what's funny, man. I really just put this together now that we're talking about it. Your commercial, I am a budding young man about to do things. And there he is on the microphone. He's having that press conference. Leave me alone. You know what I mean? Like, your work is a part of my life. That is awesome. That is so awesome. Oh my God. That's too cool, man. That is too cool. You ever think about that? Like, like I interviewed Corey Jackson. I had his football card. The sense of wonder for me, and I mean, aside from the fact that we're friends and stuff, I love that. But this sense of wonder for me, you know, I really hope it never goes away,
Yeah.
you know? Because I don't know, man. I just respect the heck out of what you do. It's just amazing. But I imagine it's something that you have to like keep your head on straight, and you have to keep calm, and you have to be able to take the hits, and
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
you know, it makes the triumphs that much better, you
Well,
know.
when you were talking about a mirror, it reminded me of something I learned when I just got my first art director job at a teeny little agency in Richmond, Virginia.
Uh,
And the guy who owned it was like, he took me in. I was just a goofy designer. I didn't know what I was doing. And he's like, I want you to be my art director. And the price was right. I guess that's why he hired me. But he had all these great sayings. And the one of them he said to me all the time was, see the world through John Doe's eyes, and you will know why John Doe buys. And it's corny, but I've never forgotten that. And that was in 1989. He told me that.
wow.
Yeah.
See the world through John Doe's eyes, and you will see the world that John Doe buys,
No, you will know what,
or you will know what John Doe buys.
yeah, yeah, why
Wow.
John Doe buys. And
You
so
will know why John Doe
that's
buys.
not the most elegant way to say things, but it is. It was a
It's
very good
effective.
lesson that you need to be strategic and understand your audience and who you're talking to and what motivates them and what possibly they may want from your client, and there's a lot to that, understanding your target, um, and that's the holy grail, right, for marketers, is understanding and knowing what motivates their customers. And so this guy who had this little 4-man agency, in Richmond, Virginia, he understood it, and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget. When he said it to me, I thought it was a corny rhyme, but it stuck in my head all these years, and it's still true. It's still very
Do
true.
you do you run focus groups, or do
Um,
you do you have them done?
rarely, rarely now. It's not something that my clients ask of us, but I've done it a lot. Yeah, and it's brutal.
I would
I,
imagine.
it's funny because usually when people do it, it's a Wednesday on an afternoon. They come in for $110. They get all the M&Ms they can eat, and that they feel very entitled to give their opinion, and watch what we're paying them for, and they don't hold back usually. So I've seen so much work die in focus groups.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I wonder. I mean, are they being honest, Or are they just like happy that somebody actually wants to hear what they have to say finally?
Yes, and there's this phenomenon in focus groups is they feel like they have to be very critical. I don't know why, but they do. And it's, as a creative, it's the hardest thing. I'll tell you a funny story.
Imagine.
So there's people who present work, right? Or they'll play a video or present a storyboard, and they're usually work for the focus group company. Well, for some reason, when we were presenting some CERTA ideas to a focus group, we had storyboards, and I was like the best person to present those storyboards because I, helped create them. And so I pretended that I didn't work for the agency. I was part of the focus group company. And, they were very clear. Now, Ken's going to present this stuff to you. He and I don't work for CERTA or the ad agency, so you can say anything you want. And so I'm sitting there, I present this work, and people are just shredding it. That's not funny. And I'm sitting there just kind of gritting my teeth, and I want to leap over the table and strangle these people. It was hard to do.
Tell me it wasn't the sheep.
Oh yeah.
They were panning the sheep?
Of course. Yeah.
Oh no. See that right there? Nope. Done. Nope. How can you not love the sheep?
I don't know, Bradley. Those focus groups are scary.
That's terrible. I think, I wouldn't trust them at all because you're right. It's like they feel like they have to be critical.
They do.
They can't just look at something and go, wow, I really like that. Or no, I really don't.
Or I like parts of it. It's like, oh, no, this would never motivate me to do any, sure. Okay.
I mean, what? Like it's a Wednesday. You came here for 520s and a 10. What would motivate you? Have you seen there's this creator on TikTok and he's got these sweatshirts, Little Debbie, and his sweatshirts are Big Deborah. I just want to throw that out there.
Big Deborah. That's very clever.
So good. It's so good. I want to buy one so bad. I think it's so good.
I know Little Debbie all too well.
Right. When were you doing stuff for Little Debbie?
No, I eat too much of it.
Oh, you eat too much of it. Oh, I thought you did it.
No, that's one of the clients I haven't had the opportunity to work on.
Well, maybe you will now. But no. Let me tell you, according to this creator, Little Debbie grew up to be Big Deborah. I know I eat way too much of them. I know I do. What's one of the one product you really wanna you would love to sink your teeth into and just haven't yet? There's one on the planet you haven't done yet. Which one would you really want to do?
Wow. The Red Ryder BB gun.
Do they still make those?
They do.
Do they really? They
really do. Wooden stock and everything.
Would you get Peter Billingsley? You'd have to.
With an
eye patch. He eventually did. He shot his eye out. Yeah. Yeah. Seriously though, really?
That'd be fun. I think
that'd be so much fun.
Wouldn't it be?
And you'd have to get Peter Billingsley. I'm sorry. That guy has made his entire career off of Christmas, and I think it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, if he's done anything else, he was in Elf.
Oh, that's right.
Right? He was an Elf. And when you figure out that's who it is in Elf, you're like, oh my God. Ralphie grew up.
Now, I would like to do a fun snack, like Cheez-Its or I don't know, some kind of fun Slim Jims.
They're still using Macho Man.
What?
Kid you not. I was in the gas station a week or two ago, and there he is, brand new box. They had just opened it, and Randy Savage is right on that.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh
snap into a
yeah.
Slim Jim.
Oh, step into a Slim Jim. Yeah. Man, his blood pressure must have been so high, you know. But
Um,
yeah, yeah.
that'd be
That'd be
fun.
cool though. I mean, think about Cheez-Its. There's so many different Cheez-Its now.
I was overwhelmed, and maybe I am turning into my parents, but there were like 17 flavors of Cheez-Its. I was buying some for the office. Like, I don't know where to, I don't know
I
what to put.
know.
And
It's
then
like it's like a it's like a
the ones
menu.
that are over baked, they like double baked.
Oh, so good.
Are they? I haven't tried them yet.
They're so good. I like the white chocolate or the white chocolate, the
White
white
cheddar,
cheddar ones. Those are super good. And then there's one with hot sauce, but it's not
spicy
really,
cheetah. I mean, spicy
yeah, the spicy
Cheez-Its. Yeah,
ones.
there's
They're
four
okay.
Cheez-Its. There's Parmesan Cheez-Its. There's double-sided Cheez-Its, puff Cheez-Its. It goes on. So
What if you did a spot that featured all of the Cheez-Its?
the family of Cheez-Its.
Like we could have a family of Cheez-Its if you're gonna like make a Cheez-It character. But what if you go like you and me? I can guarantee it. If we would go to the store and
Mhm.
see Cheez-Its, we would be standing there for 20 minutes and eventually just get one of each.
Get one of each. That's the
Yeah.
only safe thing to do.
Really, it is. It is. Because they're all brilliant. They're all great. I can just see it. We're standing there. I don't know. I think maybe I should. Well, I haven't tried that one yet. I think we should try
There's
it.
only
Yeah,
one
okay.
solution,
There's
Bradley.
only one solution.
All.
Buy them all. Buy them all. Ken, um, gosh, there's so much more I want to cover, but then that just means you have to come back.
Well, I have three more punches on my card, so
Yeah,
I will be
you have three
back.
more punches on your card. What is? There's one thing I wanted to ask you because I have a friend of mine that's going through this, and I think your perspective is I think I already asked you, but in a different way. Um, what would you say to someone that is in something completely and utterly unrelated, but is so inspired by a certain person that came on this show? It's a viewer, wants to get into the ad game, wants to be a marketer.
Mhm.
What would you tell them to do? Would you tell me? And here's some choices: go to school, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Figure out what you don't know, or try to get a job doing something within it and then learn there. Or like, what's your advice? What would it be?
If they have some skills that could actually contribute to an agency or a marketing group, I would try to get into that, even at an entry level position or even a non-creative position and work and be around it. The best education is working and being in the environment. And now, look, if you're a high school kid, you shouldn't be thrown into an ad agency. That's you need some
Right.
training, right? You need some school.
Yeah.
If you're a professional and been around for a while, and you can contribute, then get a job at an agency and you
See what
know
it's like.
you hear, yeah, you see what it's like, learn from smart people that are there,
Mm-hmm.
um, really pursue the craft as you see it. So there's some great stories of,
Love it.
the old guy who worked in the mailroom and like, I think I could write that. I could write scripts, and then work their way into be the creative director, and it happens. It happens.
I love that. I love that. That's sage right there. That's pretty cool. I am so excited about this show.
It should be.
I'm
I mean,
so
your
excited.
show, not this particular one, but this
No,
whole.
I'm excited about this particular show. I
Oh,
really am. I really am. There was a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff we covered. And I think too it's important for people to understand that, you know, behind all of the creative and the this and the that and the clients and the, whatever, is one thing that I found looking at that recruiting Reddit thing is
mhm.
that people don't understand that people are, even though it's a person that put them in a situation, they still don't look at them as people.
Hmm.
You know, so these things didn't just, you know, come out of the ether.
Right.
The work that you're doing has a lot of components to it, and it's important for people to understand that,
Yep.
and to be able to navigate their own
Mhm.
whatever cycles that they're going through, or whatever job that they have, you know, uh, integrity, dedication, hard
Right.
work, and that's industry agnostic. So
Right. From the outside looking in, I mean, people say, "Oh, look at Bradley. He just sits on a mic and talks to interesting people."
right.
Well, you've got to find those people and convince them to talk to you and prepare what you're going to talk about, and then
Mm-hmm.
talk to them. You have to edit, and I mean, yeah, it's easy to just consume and observe you, but the reality is, there's a lot of work that you do before and after every show.
It's a lot. It's a lot, and you just want it to be quality.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, if you're gonna put your name on it, you want it to be amazing. And I've been lucky enough to have great mentors and friends, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you more than you ever know. And by the way, Happy New Year.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Happy New Year to you. And just let me know when Brad's going to be on, and Brad Pitt,
I
and then
will.
I'll come by your place. I'll make that
Yeah,
trip.
yeah, yeah. No, it's fine. I will totally let you know.
Mhm.
Um, and well, I can't even do it. No, I will totally let you know.
The Brads.
That will be, you're not gonna believe this. Like, okay. Was there like a word? Did you get a word at that point? That could we speak this into existence? Tell everybody I said hello and give them my love, and Erica's as well. And we just you're awesome. You are awesome. So for all of us, including Ken Spera over here, wherever it's going to be, this way or this way. Anyway, for Ken Spera and all of us here at Work Your Career Wednesday, White Husky Films, and Jaynes Physical Therapy, and all sorts of other great folks that are hitching their wagon to us. Please remember that I love you and God bless you. And let his face shine upon you and give you great peace. Be excellent to yourself and each other. And we'll see you next week. Bye bye. Hey, everybody. Wanted to come on and tell you a story. It's a little personal. I've been in a couple accidents that were pretty severe. You know, rear-ended. At one, I was on the freeway, did a 360. It injured me pretty badly in three parts of my back, my hips, and my left leg. On those accidents, on the first one, I didn't get any physical therapy. On the second one, I did. But there's injuries still there. And then when I was a traveling working musician, my shows were pretty lively, and I would re-injure myself, you know. So I would lay on ice when after a show before I could meet anybody. That said, the physical therapy really helped me. It helped me get back to performing. It helped me walk again. In late 2020, I injured my back again, and could hardly walk. Getting from my house to the car was a problem. I can't imagine what it would be like if I was homebound. Okay, like let's say I had a surgery and I couldn't get to the physical therapist. It would be a severe problem. Let me tell you something. Jaynes Physical Therapy is almost enough for me to move to New Orleans. Okay, they are specialists in in-home healthcare, covering New Orleans, North Shore, and they're amazing. Casey Jaynes, the managing director of Jaynes Physical Therapy, he's incredible. Second to none. We've gotten a chance to meet him and to really talk with him, fellowship with him. He is awesome, and his physical therapists are specialists. They are awesome, incredibly amazing. Look, there's a process on how you would work with him, but I'm telling you, go onto LinkedIn. Okay, here's the deal. they're looking for 2 physical therapists, 2 more physical therapists in the New Orleans area. Go on to LinkedIn, okay? Connect with him there. You can even go to his LinkedIn page on LinkedIn. Casey Jaynes, CASEY, Connect with him there. Send him your resume. The website will be up soon, so you'll be able to send resumes there. Or you can even send them to me. Go onto my LinkedIn page and shoot me a message. And, we'll even set up a conversation. But I'm telling you, it's an amazing opportunity. The money's great. And working with Casey is really incredible. Okay, he's got a really great network and a wonderful staff of physical therapists that contract really all over. But for these positions, we're looking in New Orleans and in the North Shore area. I'm still familiarizing myself with Louisiana, but I tell you, you want to go to Jaynes Physical Therapy, Jaynes. As soon as the website's up, we'll let you know. Go on to LinkedIn. In the search tab, type in Jaynes Physical Therapy and connect with him. Follow his page. You will be so glad you did. All right. So I hope it's not too long, but let's get on with the show.
White Husky Films. Dream, create, record. We create ads and promos for your business. We can promote your video on television, Facebook, YouTube, Hulu, and more. We do a full Google SEO analysis for you with any plan. Call us today at 305-744-1444 or visit our website at whitehuskyfilms.com. White Husky Films. You'll be glad you did.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Hey, if you like Work Your Career Wednesday and want to be notified every single time we have a new episode, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Smash it. Get a hammer and get it. And
Yeah, that's fine.
Too much?
No, that's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I love it. People want.
Do you hear Steven in the background? I was just making sure I'm going to be okay. But get that notification going. And hey, we will be letting you know, or I guess YouTube will be letting you know, when the next Work Your Career Wednesday is on. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Man, ding it, ring it, sling it, and bing it. All right? And we will see you soon. Work Your Career Wednesday. Oh, great. I'm glad you stopped by. Be sure to get that subscription bell, and I'll see you there.